With this video, I will probably piss off both the left and the right, because, on one side, the left says that gay people are born that way, but then they turn around and say that gender is a social construct, and these two things don't add up. And there are right-wingers who agree that gay people are born that way, but then there are also right-wingers and conservatives who say that they accept the genetic aspect. They agree that I was born with the attraction to men, but then they argue that I have a choice to suppress that and pursue a heterosexual relationship. I mean, I have to agree, I could do that, but I'm also wondering why. I'm not religious, and the other thing is, with the state of today's women, being gay is actually an advantage, at least in my opinion. But there are also conservatives and right wingers who completely deny that being gay is like of biological origin. They say it is completely a choice. And I just wanted to debunk this, but not necessarily to argue against conservatives, because this is just a wake up call. Because when you say that being gay is a choice, you are as stupid as feminists who talk about toxic masculinity and say that men are taught to be toxic, and like they totally deny that men are born masculine, that boys in school are born with masculine traits. And that's why, for instance, Christina Hoff Sommers said in her book The War on Boys that boys are treated like defective girls in schools, because there are so many people who think that masculinity and femininity is socially constructed. They totally deny that people are born that way. And with me now, these arguments that you're going to hear, me talking about how gay people are born that way, my message is really mostly about destroying the stupid theory that gender is a social construct. This is not a social justice warrior video. In fact, when I mention some of the things that I'm going to mention in a few minutes, my videos get banned on TikTok for hate speech. So this is not some left-wing propaganda piece. And the other thing is, I have to admit that this video is also a little bit for me, because a lot of people like throughout my life were confused at my behavior, and I think when you listen to my arguments now, you kind of understand why I am the way I am. Although I have to say, maybe it's actually not that relevant for my online audience, because there are still people like on TikTok and on X who think I'm a straight guy. How? I think it's obvious that I'm gay. Whatever, I mean, this video is probably going to be 20 minutes long. I try to keep it as short as possible. And sorry for reading some of the stuff, but I'm quoting scientific research and I don't want to make any mistakes. So, some of the stuff I just can't memorize. So the first thing I just wanted to talk about is a National Geographic article written in 2008. It is called "The Brains of Gay People Resemble Those of Straight People of the Opposite Sex." And I read this in 2015, and this article basically was about how they used brain scans to find out like the differences between gay people and heterosexual people, and they saw that, for instance, my brain as a gay man resembles more that of a heterosexual woman than the brain of a heterosexual man. And listen, I know that sounds weird, I know that sounds like woke science, but trust me, when I mention this to gay people, 90% of them hate me. This is not LGBT propaganda, because these brain differences, I mean, I explain it to you in a later example. In the article, it was said that they used PET, a technique called PET, to measure the blood flow into the amygdala, a part of the brain that is involved in processing emotions. They saw that gay men show a reverse pattern, different from straight men. Gay men had more neurons projecting from the left half as opposed to the right in straight men. And I have to say, when I came across this article in 2015, it all suddenly made sense to me, because all my life I was different than the boys around me in school, for instance. All my life I was different than all the other men around me. I'm just naturally not masculine, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, I'm just saying how it is. And when I read this, I finally like, I get it. Like, I have a different brain, like not as similar, like more similar to that of a woman. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying exactly like women, it says similar, like it is in the article. That just simply means that I'm not like a straight man. Not so much that I am now like a woman or anything. That just means I'm different from a straight man. And then explain, like, you must have seen it in real life. Like, sometimes you encounter gay people in, like, they don't even have to be friends with you, and you notice that some of them are just naturally feminine in their behavior. And I'm, again, not saying this is a good thing. I'm not saying you should approve of that. I'm just saying this is just an observation that should be, like, obvious. And this research about the brain scans explains it. And there's this is not the only research. For instance, in the LA Times, there was an article in 2005, and it says, this sounds kind of like funny, gay men's reaction to odor differs from straight men, and there are odors that drive a person's sexual response, and gay men respond more similar to such odors like women do it. And to be precise, airborne chemicals associated with sexual reproduction emitted through male sweat triggers a heightened response in gay men similar seen in heterosexual women. And now tell me, how is being gay not a genetic defect after hearing this? And there's also like, there was was it a study, research, I can't remember, but they were talking about how gay people, there is a gay wage gap. And don't get me wrong, I know that the wage gap, the regular wage gap, is not based on discrimination, it is because of job choice. Women and men choose different jobs because they are differently biologically, they have different brains, like exactly what I just talked about before. Because, for instance, Christina Hoff Sommers made, like, by the way, Christina Hoff Sommers, she's also famous for a YouTube series, Defectual Feminist. I really recommend it. I mean, I don't like that she still calls herself a feminist, but she's from another generation, so there's that. And she talked about how research showed that even small kids, like toddlers or even younger, like, already shows that little girls are more interested in pictures of with faces of people, and boys are more interested in trucks. Like, this is, we are born masculine and feminine. And that's why men and women make different job choices when they are older too. This is not socialized. Men and women are born differently. This is not just the outside of the body that is different. The brains are different too. And I just told you that, how, like, my brain differs from that of a straight man and is more similar to that of a heterosexual woman. And then just told that's what I wanted to say before. Is it then so surprising that there is a wage gap between gay men and heterosexual men? It actually makes totally sense. And you must, again, have seen it in real life. This is like an observation everyone can check for themselves. There are so many gay men being makeup artists, and I'm not saying there's no single straight man who does that. Or there are also overwhelmingly women, but you know these people like James Charles or something like that. Not that I would watch that because I think it's boring, but just saying, yeah, I mean, even, like, you know, I'm not even interested in makeup and realize that and don't deny the obvious truth. And there are other job fields, like gay men are often hairdressers, and again, there are also straight men who are hairdressers, but there are certain jobs where gay men are overrepresented, and that's also something we observe with women, how they are more likely to be in certain job fields, and that's why feminists like complain, it's the patriarchy, and that's why women earn less. But no, the wage gap is an earnings gap, and that's what I meant. Please don't get me wrong, I'm not here trying to play victim when gay people choose job fields that pay less than those of straight men, and that's their problem. And you probably will now argue against me and say, I only like quoted left-wing sources, but I also have a right-wing source. For instance, in 2019, Breitbart, a far-right news website, that's at least what people claim, that they are far-right, had an article, and the article was called "There is no single gay gene." And you probably think, no, I'm arguing against myself. No, because if you would have read the article, you would have found out that, like, in the article it is said that researchers found out in 2019 that there are 5 different regions in the human genome responsible for same-sex behavior. And when you have 5 different regions, in the human genome. This is not one single gay gene, and that's why they got away with writing a headline like that. And you're probably wondering now, why are there not... I mean, there were truth, so that isn't wrong, but still it is a little misleading. But it is obvious, as I said, it's a right-wing source. They wanted to pander to their right-wing audience, and they just wanted to have likes, retweets, shares, and a lot of people just simply don't read the whole article, both on the left and the right, which is horrible, but it worked. I saw a lot of people retweeting that article, quoting it, and were saying, yeah, see, gay people aren't born that way, it is a choice. See, the headline says there is no single gay gene. And I was like, if you would only read the article, it says there are 5 different regions in the human genome responsible for same-sex behavior. This is so simple. You could have just read the article, but no, people only read the headline and click on share or retweet. By the way, I know it's not called retweet anymore, I think, because Twitter's not X, but you get my point. And with that being said, again, everything I quoted so far, I know it sounds strange saying, yeah, my brain is not like that of a heterosexual man, and I know that there are some transgender individuals who say they are real women because they have feminized brains, and there's some truth to it, but my message in this video is actually the opposite. At the end of the video I will explain why I'm actually arguing against this transgender madness. And again, as I just said, what I said so far sounds weird. But it only sounds weird because it is a response to weirdness. When people walk around and say that gender is a social construct, this is weird. When I argue against that, of course I'm going to sound weird too. And the next thing I wanted to talk about, because there are a lot of theories where people like oppose my views and say that it is a choice, being gay, and I often see that on 4chan, on Pol. I think it's pronounced Pol, P-O-L. By the way, I'm not offended, I love going there, I find it interesting actually, and the first example is actually my kind of humor. I don't find that offensive at all what they're saying, because they're saying that gay people are gay because of worms. And this is a theory that has been around now for 2 years or so, or for 1 year, and I say, and sorry for, I think it's called profanity, but when I have to debunk something like that, I have to talk in a disgusting way, so sorry for that. They say that because some people are infected with parasites, with worms, that makes people gay, that gay men have worms inside their assholes, and that's why gay men fuck each other in the ass because of worms. But when I read this theory, it made no sense to me. I mean, first of all, I have to say I know where they are coming from, because there's this parasite, this cat parasite. Like, for instance, when rats are infected with, I think it's called Toxoplasma gondii or something, I don't know. When cats are infected with, when rats are infected with a parasite, with this cat parasite, they are less afraid of cats and go near around cats as a result and are eaten. Like, because they're less afraid, they are more likely to get eaten by cats, and then that life cycle of that parasite is fulfilled, if you can say it that way. And then they say that, researchers say that this cat parasite has maybe also an effect on us humans. And I know now where they are coming from with the worm theory, so it isn't like, I get it, but still, it is so easy to debunk because women have asses too. And even like there are bisexual men, they fuck, sorry again for the profanity, but when you have these stupid theories, I have to talk that way. When bisexual men fuck gay men in the ass, but they then fuck women in the vagina. But according to this theory, they wouldn't even want to do that anymore because these worms have like manipulated them into being gay. But why are there still bisexual men? And in general, if these worms would turn, I can't believe I'm talking about this, when these worms would turn gay people gay, why is it then like women have an anus too? Why would that make people gay when they're then attracted to these worms inside someone's ass? It is such a nonsense theory. And what they're also talking about, and sorry, this is a little serious, but this is not just on 4chan in general. A lot of people say that gay people are gay because of molestation, and there's unfortunately some truth to it, because I once saw a video by Player White, a YouTuber, in case you don't know her, and she made a video about Milo Yiannopoulos, and I don't know if he's pronounced that way, when he came out as a heterosexual man. By the way, idiots who believe that. But, I mean, she noticed that too and only talked like 1 minute about him and used the rest of the video talking about gay conversion therapy and how people like needed therapy to know that they aren't gay. And she talked about, I don't exactly remember why she talked about it, but there was a woman in the comment section, many other people who say they have unfortunately sexually abused as children. And as a response, or as a result, this woman in the comment section said she pursued homosexual relationships with other girls when she was a teenager. But she always said, this is the important part, that she was not sexually attracted to women. So in the end it turned out she needed therapy. She noticed that because of the trauma she pursued homosexual relations. And you probably now think I'm arguing against myself here, but no, because I know I'm naturally attracted to men. And again, I'm not saying this is a good thing, this is more like a facts don't care about your feelings thing. That's just how it is. And this is the difference between, like, I was never abused by anyone who was an adult. And she was abused and thought because of the abuse she must pursue homosexual relations. But she also, as I said, mentioned that she was never attracted to women. And that's the difference. These people need help. And I think when you now claim that people are gay because of molestation, that is actually a disservice for these people, because they are already suffering enough. And when you now put this label on them that they are gay, this isn't helping. They need therapy so they can be like who they really are, heterosexual people. It's kind of like there was this viral video which pops up from time to time where I think it was in the 80s, a son was molested by a teacher or something, and this male teacher was arrested, and this son's father was at a telephone booth or whatever this is called, and he pretended to be on a telephone, and then he turned around and shot this guy in the head and he died. And later, like I think a few months ago, this guy revealed himself, not this father, but the son revealed himself, and he kind of like said that his father sadly died and he was a great man for like taking revenge. And no idea if it was confirmed, if it was actually that guy, but I think it really was, because a lot of people like interacted with him. And this guy had a picture in his ex profile, back in the day, still Twitter I think, and he was married to a woman. He was unfortunately molested by a man, but he still married a woman. That's what I mean. It doesn't even apply to every person who was unfortunately molested. And it doesn't, like, that's why what I mean when you say, have the stupid theory that people become gay because of molestation, you basically shame these people even more, because they then have another stigma that they have to like get rid of, as if the abuse wasn't worse enough. And in general, I could make it really simple. If you say that gay people are gay because of molestation, who molested the first gay man? This is kind of like a chicken and an egg theory. It doesn't make sense, because like the first gay man was was gay, but who molested him? Another gay man, but who molested him? See how stupid these theories are. And what is this? Right. The last theory that often pops up on 4chan, but is also on other, in general, like the general public also mentions this, is because they say that twins are not, like one twin is straight and the other is gay, and that proves that being gay is a choice and people are not born that way. But this is wrong too, because, I'm sorry for reading this again, but I don't want to make any mistakes. Sometimes one twin is left-handed and the other is right-handed. And even with monozygotic twins, you have a twin with diabetes type 1, while the other doesn't have it. And therefore one twin can be gay and the other straight. And this is because, this can be explained with epigenetics. Like, epigenetics are genetics that are turned on and turned off, even sometimes later in life. And it kind of like adds up with what I talked about from the Breitbart article, that there's no single gay gene, but there are 5 different regions in the human genome. This can be explained that these specific genetic predispositions in one twin, they are activated, in the other don't. And this is explained, for instance, that sometimes twins develop in different placentas, and those placentas might not transfer the same level of hormones to each fetus. So the twin argument has been debunked too, and there's also this argument that people always talk about, how straight men go into prison and turn gay, and when they're out of prison they're straight again. I think this is an act of desperation, because some men just need intercourse, and when they are in prison for years and they have no woman to have sex with, then at one point some men can do it, some men can overcome that, and just a hole is a hole. I'm not saying this is a nice thing, but it happens, and I don't think these men are gay. It's like when an incel can't have sex and buys a sex doll. Is he now sexually attracted to that sex doll? No, but he needed a hole to have sex with. And that's kind of like the similar situation in prison. And also, this is again, you're doing a disservice to straight people who are in prison and don't have sex at all with men for years. You basically put this stereotype on these prisoners, and maybe many of them don't actually have sex with other men. And also, by the way, I'm not one of these crazy people who says there are 25% of people are LGBT or something. I'm just saying there's also a possibility that there are a few more people bisexual than we think. For instance, I serve customers at work, and there are 3 men who I see that they are gay, and this is not wishful thinking. One of them is 70. And I also had a friend once, a straight friend, and I mentioned this because he wasn't biased in any way, and he told me that he knows 3 men who have girlfriends, and they told him that they only have girlfriends because they are gay and want to hide that. And this was what I mean. There are many men in the closet as bisexual, and when these men land in prison, of course it's easy for them to have intercourse with another man. It happens. So that doesn't mean that they came in straight and entered prison straight and became gay. They have been bisexual from the start. And again, you don't even know how many men actually sleep with each other in prison, how common this is. And with that being said, this also ties into how did the gay gene, the gay genetics, sorry, I just made a mistake, I just talked about that there is no single gay gene, and I say gay gene. I mean, you get what I mean, the genetic background, how did it survive throughout human history? And I think there's a theory which says that because gay people back in the day were forced to be in the closet, you start with Alan Turing, who cracked the Enigma code. He had to choose between sterilizing himself, chemically castrating himself, or going to prison just for being gay. And of course, if you are confronted with that, you stay in the closet. He didn't, but many others chose to, and procreated with women. And this is basically how the gay genetic predisposition survived. And throughout history, for hundreds or thousands of years, because gay people are still killed in Muslim countries, many of them are, there are many men, for instance, who are gay, but because if they would come out, they would be killed, and as a result, they procreate with women. This is, I mean, again, you could then argue that it is a choice being gay, because they can have intercourse with women, but you get my point. If you are threatened with your life, then of course you're gonna conform to the norm. And this is kind of where I have to reprimand people, because if you would have accepted, okay, I can't really reprimand people because these people are dead, but I'm just saying, thousands of years ago, or hundreds of years ago, if you would have accepted that gay people are gay and would have just left them alone without threatening them with prison and death, then the genetic error, the genetic defect of being gay would have died out. Because I don't think back in the day we would have gotten surrogate mothers, because childbirth was very risky. I mean, even today women die from childbirth, but way less than back in the day. And they would have never become a womb for a gay couple to birth children. So if we would have accepted gay people in the past, they wouldn't have reproduced, and then we wouldn't see gay people nowadays. If this is how the genetic background of gay people survived throughout history. I'm not sure about that because it's just a theory, this is not scientific research. Because it could also be that, for instance, Alex Jones said that like he's famous for the water turns the frogs gay. And there is, people laughed at him, but there's truth to it. There was an article where it said that because of the water, these frogs had correct characteristics of of the frogs of the opposite sex. If that now means that they are gay, I don't know, but it did change their sex characteristics, and then you could argue that nowadays there is an uptick in more people being gay because of something that's in the water, and I don't know why I should deny that, because it actually plays into my argument that gay people are born that way, and this is, again, I'm not saying this is a good thing that gay people are born that way. It is like, this is also why I'm making a video, because that we have an open discussion. Because if you, like, people who say that it is a choice being gay, you are obviously not a fan of gay people, and I'm not offended by that, because I also don't really like the LGBT community, so I get it. But that's why I think we should talk about this more like from a biological, scientific aspect, because then we would find answers on how to stop it. I don't mind if in the future there aren't any gay people anymore. Whatever. And, what is the... Ah, yeah, right. I hope I mentioned everything. This video is already 26 minutes long, I'm sorry. But it's really important for me talking about this, because on one side, I'm still kind of like a liberal, a leftist, I think, I don't know. And I'm just so disappointed, because back in the day when I was a kid in the early 2000s, I was always like told that the left is like the ones with science, the enlightened ones, the ones on the right side of history. And suddenly they have these stupid theories that we have 70 genders, that genders are socially constructed. And even like people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye say that, or something similar. And the right-wingers, while they have like the basis and know that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, in the end, when you then say that it is a choice being gay, this also kind of like plays into leftist hands in their stupid theory that thinks that gender is socially constructed. Because you say the same, you say that gay people are socially constructed. But as I said in another video, my father is a Muslim, and when I was a kid, he like really had these masculine stereotypes. Like he wanted me to be more like wanted me to be traditional. He said I shouldn't cry, I should have a wife in the future. But in the end, it didn't work, because I was just naturally feminine, more feminine than other straight men. Not completely, I guess, because as I said before, I don't like makeup. But you get my point. He tried to socially construct me into a masculine man, but that's just not who I was and who I am today. And that's my point. I'm again not saying this is a good thing. I'm not saying you have to like me. I'm just saying I am born with a genetic defect. As the video says, being gay is a genetic defect. And that's like, this is the harsh truth. And this is what I'm talking about, because I'm sick and tired of these people making crap up. Because it confuses us. It confuses all these people who nowadays want to transition, even though they don't actually have to. But more to that later, because the last theory is actually the most funny one. There are, especially on BitChute, there are still people who, like these transvestigators, they think, like for instance on YouTube, there are still channels like that too. They're talking about, like, there's a channel called Phony Persephone, I think, and she has a video, for instance, on Henry Cavill, and it is called Henry Cavill Superman or Supergirl. And basically for 20 minutes or so, she looks at pictures of him and says, yeah, he has feminine eyes, he has short arms, he has wide hips, and therefore he's a woman, like he was a woman who transitioned into a man. And there are so many videos of celebrities where people claim they are secretly transgender, they have transitioned from man into women and from women into man. And I'm mentioning this because I came across a research, actually scientific research, I will post the link below too, about that so you can read it for yourself. Research, this was long ago, before even the first transvestigator appeared on YouTube or BitChute. And these researchers found out that gay people have also atypical body types, which shouldn't be surprising, because when you know that now that I have a brain that is not similar to that of a straight man, maybe this all affects the rest of my body too, because I've noticed it about me too. Okay, it's embarrassing to admit, but I have really wide hips. If I were a celebrity, I would have a bunch of transvestigation videos about me, trust me. And that's what the research said. There are gay men who, like gay men have hourglass shaped figures on average, and lesbian women have a lot more like these male type bodies. Like, that's exactly what you read in this research when you click on this link. This is exactly what transvestigators say. They say that women have like these wider shoulders, like these lesbian women have wider shoulders, and therefore the transvestigators, their conclusion is that therefore they must be transgender. I mean, you know this theory that Michelle Obama is trans, and I actually think, based on these theories and what people point out, it is more likely that she is a lesbian and covers up for Barack Obama, because you know about these gay fantasy letters that came out about him a month ago or so. And here's the thing, a lot of people probably not think I'm crazy for even talking about that, but again, this is the whole video what it is about, like talking about the scientific research rather than these weird theories, like what is it that worms and that everyone is trans? No, when again these theories are weird, that's why I have to respond in a weird way. And honestly, what sounds weirder? That transvestigators claim Elliot Page used to be a man, then transitioned into Ellen Page, and then transitioned back into Elliot Page. And this is something people are more likely to believe than what I say. Great. In what world am I living in? This must be a simulation, and someone put, like, this is comedy. Someone wants entertainment, I can explain it any other way. And me saying there's research where it says that gay and lesbian people have different body types. You know, I'm not making this up, this is research. This actually explains all these transvestigation videos. You know, just saying, you don't have to believe me, I just wanted to mention it in the end, because I think that makes much more sense than saying that all of Hollywood is transgender, because really, I'm not denying maybe there are some people who are secretly trans, because especially the women who transition into men, sometimes you really don't notice that they are transgender, but really every one of them, I don't believe it. And in the end, like, the moral of my video, like the moral of the story, is that leftists and liberals, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that gay people are born that way, but at the same time you say gender is a social construct. If you have listened to the whole video, you notice now, this doesn't add up. And right-wingers, I also have to say that you, like the ones who say that that it is a choice being gay. Sorry, I know where you're coming from. You know, you are no fan of gay people, you want me to be straight. But this is, why should I do that? Just stop annoying me with that. Accept that I'm gay. Like, accepting that I'm born that way doesn't mean you support it. That just means facts, don't care about your feelings. You just accept what's going on, the truth. Because here's the thing, if you really don't want to see gay people anymore, you would have to, like, have a method where you can, in the womb, when the fetus is still in the womb, that you can find out if this fetus has these 5, like what I told you about that Breitbart article, like this genetic predisposition of being gay, and then you would have to abort it. Sounds harsh, but you know, when you tell me I have to present myself as a straight man. I should force myself to be with a woman just because you don't like gay people. That is harsh too. The audacity, honestly. If you say something like that to me, I'm going to tell you, you have to abort gay people if you don't want to see them. You will have to abort them. That's how you're not going to see gay people walking amongst you. Simple. But I know many of you conservatives are pro-life, so that's not an option for you. And again, just like I reprimanded leftists, you can't have it both ways. You either accept that gay people are born that way, or you kill them off. And that's my message for this video. Please be consistent in your views. Trust. Okay. After the vaccines, I don't want to say trust the science anymore, but this science. This is... Propaganda existed, of course, years ago, but this was before the left went completely insane. And as I said, the things I mentioned, leftists are no fans of that. So really, even though I said harsh words now to you conservatives, I really would love to work together with you in that aspect, because you are on the right track. You know that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. And when you combine that fact with the brain scans, which overall say that there is a feminized brain and a masculine brain, and most of the time it adds up. I, as a gay man, I'm not the norm. I'm really not here making this video to present myself as the norm. So that's what I meant. If we promote the idea of science and that there are only two genders, then we are on the right track again. Because what the left is doing right now, this is the dark ages, honestly. It is a nightmare. I really hope that instead of hating on me, and I know a lot of that stuff I talked about in the video is weird, but we have to go through this weird research in order to debunk the craziness of the leftist rhetoric. There's no other way around it. And I hope you enjoyed that video, because it was so long. I hope I could make some of the arguments entertaining. And please, spread this message, because I'm sick and tired of this. It is 2023, and we are at a point where we question if there are more than two genders. This is insanity. This is worse than caveman times. What? I can't believe that I'm actually born in a time like that. Crazy.